Welcome to our simple guide to completing Form TR1. You can use Form TR1 to transfer the whole of the property in one or more registered titles to one or more new owners, but not if you want to transfer part of your land or property, such as part of the garden. You can only use Form TR1 to transfer the whole of your ownership. What does this mean? Let's look at an example. Alice Smith gets married and gifts her new husband a half share in her house. She transfers ownership of the house from one person, Alice Smith, to two people, Alice and Andrew Smith. Alice Smith and Andrew Smith now own the whole of the house between them. If you are only transferring part of the property, for example, if you wanted to sell part of your garden to a neighbour, you would need to fill in a Form TP1, Transfer of Part, instead of Form TR1. In this video, we will assume the property is already registered with us. If the land or property is not already registered, see our guidance on gov.uk for more information. Type Register Land into your browser. You can use Form TR1 if you want to sell the whole of your property to someone else or add someone else's name to the ownership. For example, if you have married or entered into a civil partnership and you want to make your spouse or civil partner a joint owner, or if your relationship has broken down and the property needs to be transferred to just one of you, or to register the purchase of the land or property. Before we go ahead and fill out the form, there's a couple of items to be aware of. Firstly, although you can make an application yourself to update the register and record your purchase, if you are buying the property with a mortgage, the lender is likely to insist that you use a conveyancer, so you won't be able to do it yourself. Additionally, as well as your Form TR1, you will need to send us a completed application form. That's Form AP1 if the property is registered, plus evidence of identity for each and every current owner, referred to on the form as the transferor, and the new owner, referred to on the form as the transferee, and/or their attorney. For more information and guidance on when we need identity evidence and how to provide it, see our Practice Guide 67 on gov.uk. Type PG67 into your browser. Or watch our videos on YouTube. You'll find videos showing you how to use our ID forms to show evidence of identity on our Public Guidance YouTube playlist. Ready to start? When you're ready to start, download Form TR1 from our website at gov.uk. Type HMLR TR1 into your browser. A quick tip: always use black ink and write in block capitals to fill out the form. This should ensure we can read your details without needing to seek further information. In Panel 1, write the title number or numbers of the property you are going to transfer. When we register property, it is given a unique Land Registry reference number. This is shown at the top of the first page of the title register and also on the title plan. Together, we call these the title deeds. If your property is registered, HM Land Registry holds your title register and title plan electronically. If it is not registered, you should have the original paper deeds in your possession. Remember, in this video, we are assuming your property is registered. If you don't have your title deeds, the quickest and cheapest way to find your title number is to view or download a copy of the register using our Search for Land and Property Information service, available on gov.uk. The property summary is free, and a fee of £3 each is payable for copies of the register or title plan. You will need an email address and a debit or credit card to use this service. A quick tip: once you have your deeds, take a look through, Consider every entry in the register and collect any evidence you need before you send your application to us. Check all the details are correct, especially names and addresses, and collect any evidence you might need. This will avoid our having to write to you to request more information, which could delay your application. In Panel 2, insert the full address of the property you are transferring, including the postcode. If it is a piece of land, give a brief description. For example, land adjoining to Highway Street, Peterborough. Panel 3 is where you will put the date, but leave this blank for now, and we will come back to it after the transfer has been executed. A legal word for signed in Panel 12. In Panel 4, write out the full name, including any middle names, of the transferor, that is, the name of the current owner or owners. If the transferor is a company, you will need to complete the additional questions. If the names in this panel are not the same as the names shown on the registered title, you will need to send us evidence to explain why. For example, a certified true copy of the deed poll or marriage certificate to account for a change of name, or a certified true copy of the death certificate or grant of probate if one of the joint owners has died. Let's quickly look at how to certify a document you are sending to us. Please note, this method is accepted by HM Land Registry only. Other government organisations may have different requirements. Send us certified, true copies of deeds and documents you are sending us with your TR1. We scan the documents before destroying them, so please don't send the originals. To certify a document, the person making the application should write, "I certify this to be a true copy of the original, dated, signed, name printed, date," on the front of the copied document, like these examples on screen. Panel 5 asks for the details of the transferees, that is, who the new owner or owners will be. Write the full name of each transferee. You can enter a maximum of 4 people. Don't include titles such as Mr. or Mrs., but you can include other titles such as Doctor, Sir or Lady if you want to. If the transferee is a company, you will need to complete the additional sections of the panel as appropriate. Panel 6. The transferee's address for service. Each transferee, in this case John Doe and Mary Ann Poppins, must give us their address for service so we can contact them if we need to. We call this their address for service. Write it in here. Each transferee can give up to 3 addresses, one of which must be a postal address, but not necessarily in the UK. The others can be any combination of postal addresses or email addresses. Make it very clear whose address is whose. As a general principle, it is important to keep your address in your register up to date. We may have to write to you about matters relating to your property, and if we don't have an up-to-date address, you might not receive important letters. This is especially important if you are a landlord who doesn't actually live at the property. Watch our video, How to Update Your Contact Address, on YouTube. Panel 7. The transfer. The statement in this panel actually transfers the property and is appropriate in all cases, so do not add to it or amend it. In Panel 8, state what the transferor has received in return for the property. This could be money or something else. We call this the consideration. If the property is being transferred for money, put an X in the first box and enter the amount paid in words and figures underneath. If the transfer is not for money, for example, if it is by way of gift, put an X in the second box. If the transfer is for any other consideration, for example, it is in accordance with the terms of a will or trust deed, put an X in the third box and enter the details. Panel 9. The title guarantees. By putting an X against one of these guarantees, the transferor, Thomas Smith, is giving certain binding promises about his right to the land. What does this mean? If he puts an X in the first box, full title guarantee, this means that he is guaranteeing to the best of his knowledge that there are no mortgages against the property, no one has a right of way over it, nobody has a lease on it, and no one else has any other right or interest in it. If he puts an X in the second box, limited title guarantee, this means that he is giving a lesser guarantee. In this case, he is only promising that he hasn't taken a mortgage out on it, or let anyone else have an interest in the property that is still in place at the date of the transfer. If you don't know which option to choose, you should seek legal advice. Panel 10. Declaration of Trust. You must fill in this panel if there are two or more transferees. The transferees will own the property together and should decide which type of joint ownership they want. You can own a property as either joint tenants or tenants in common. The type of ownership affects what you can do with the property if your relationship with a joint owner breaks down or if one owner dies. In our example, John Doe and Mary Ann Poppins want to own the property as beneficial joint tenants, so they put an X in the first box. If there are two or more transferees and panel 10 is left blank, we will put what we call a Form A, or joint proprietorship, restriction in the register. This might restrict how you can deal with your property in the future. Our online guidance might help, but you can also get legal advice from someone who specialises in property. If you have any doubts about what you need to put, we strongly suggest you seek legal advice. In panel 11, you write down any additional provisions affecting the property or its owners. If there are any covenants or agreements made between the transferor and the transferee, this panel needs to be filled in with the details. Otherwise, leave it blank. If you are unsure what to put, again, you should seek legal advice. Panel 12. Execution. All of the transferors must execute, which means legally sign the transfer. If panel 10 and/or 11 are blank, only the transferor or transferors need sign, which they must do in the presence of a witness. If panels 10 and/or 11 have been completed, the transferees must also sign in the presence of a witness. Our example shows the correct way for individuals to execute a deed. If you're signing on behalf of a company, there are different ways to execute the deed. For more information, see our guidance pages on gov.uk. Simply type PG8 into your browser. Back to individuals. The witness to your signature should be somebody who is independent, but preferably someone who knows you well and could confirm, if necessary, that you did sign the transfer. Anyone can be a witness as long as they are not your spouse, a civil partner or other member of your family, under 18, named anywhere else in the document you are signing, or any other documents connected with it apart from as a witness to someone else's signature, involved in, party to, the transfer. One person can witness more than one signature, as in our example, but they must sign and complete the details below every signature they witness. They must also be with each person as they sign. You can now go back to panel 3 and fill in the date on which the transfer has been executed and witnessed. Once you have signed and dated the form TR1, it takes effect as a deed and is legally binding. And if you're unsure about any aspect of this, we recommend you seek legal advice before making an application. And that's it. Before you send your application, check that all relevant panels of the TR1 are complete, that any other forms you're sending with your application are complete, for example, the application form AP1, and that you've enclosed all the documents and evidence we need to register your application. We keep saying this, but it's essential that if you're unsure about any aspect of the application you're making, you consider seeking legal advice. Send your completed forms, along with all supporting documents, evidence, and any fee required, to our standard address for applications. Simply type HMLR address for applications into your browser and scroll down to HM Land Registry Citizen Centre. A couple of other tips before we go. Please make sure that documents are clear and legible, and provide a translation into English or Welsh if you are submitting foreign documents. We hope you found this information helpful. Further guidance on completing Form TR1 can be found on our website. For more videos on a variety of land registration topics, subscribe to our YouTube playlist, Public Guidance. You will also find information and guidance on a variety of topics on our customer training hub on gov.uk. Search for HMLR training.